As the Prince George's School District attempts to move forward, new information is revealed regarding the grade-fixing accusations. Good evening. This is CTV News for Wednesday, December 20th. I'm Patricia Vallone.
And I'm Denise Douglas. Details on that story shortly. But first, a veteran Bowie council member is out of a job tonight.
That's right. In a special recall election yesterday, residents overwhelmingly voted to oust Diane Polligan. And CTV Sonia Srivastava has the very latest.
Well, that's right. As you walk or drive around here in District 2 in Bowie, signs like these are seen on almost every block. And this is essentially what has now taken down longtime council member Diane Polligan, who was recalled by a special election yesterday. Diane Polligan served the residents of District 2 here in Bowie for 10 years. But in a special election, they voted overwhelmingly to recall her seat. The numbers say it all, 1,118 to 497.
A recall election, it's in the charter. It is absolutely the voters' right.
Residents were angry and made it known. Most of the frustration stemming from her voting in favor of building apartments behind the new Marketplace shopping center. Larry Swank's house is just a few dozen yards away from where the apartments would be built. He and a few other residents formed the group Bowie Citizens for Accountable Government and collected 3,500 signatures, along with a petition to the city asking for a recall vote for Polligan. Was all of this just to keep Diane Polligan accountable? Is that why you all did this?
It wasn't so much punishing Diane for what she did to this apartment. It was preventing her from doing it at Hilltop and across the street at Giant and in all the other little commercial shopping centers, the CSC zoning that's around Bowie, and we believe that that's exactly what would happen.
The issue has divisive opinions on both sides.
Her constituency, she's supposed to represent them, and obviously she voted against the vast majority's wishes.
We understand that, the traffic is an issue and things, but also affordable housing is an issue.
Nobody wants the apartments. I haven't met anybody yet who wants them. This street is crazy with traffic. I can't get out of my own driveway around 5 o'clock. They back up down there as it is now. Who knows what's going to happen?
Diane Polligan, a well-liked and non-controversial member, told us her heart was in the right place.
I've been here in Bowie 55 years. There's absolutely no way I'm going to do anything that would be detrimental to this city.
Out of the 5,000 registered voters, only 1,600 went to the polls, about 15%. The low turnout is being blamed on the timing of the election.
Was it the best time to hold an election? Absolutely not. It was tough to get election judges. A lot of people had other things to do. It just wasn't on people's radar this week, this month. But it was all started by the petition, the timing of that.
Now, once again, when the Elections Board certifies these results, there will be a vacancy on the Bowie City Council. And then if anybody wants to run for that position, they will be allowed to put their name in. And the city will then hold an election in the next 2 months. In Bowie, I'm Sonia Srivastava. Back to you.
Thank you, Sonia. Polligan was first elected in 2007, from what Sonia tells us. Prince George's public school officials addressed the grade audit controversy last night at a special board meeting, and it turned into a who knew what and when. Board member Edward Burrows produced a document he says proves district officials knew about the grade-fixing allegations last year but failed to do anything about it. School CEO Dr. Kevin Maxwell denies he was aware of the document at the time. Burrows says it was received by district officials. Parents also weighed in at the meeting.
I stand with many parents, community leaders, and groups in this county when I say to our so-called CEO, Deputy Superintendent, area instruction directors, and even our county executive, it is time for you to go.
I believe that the dysfunction of the board and due to nepotism and cronyism has been one of the largest contributing factors to the grade-changing scandal.
District officials say they are taking the audit recommendations seriously and are making changes, including new processes for monitoring excessive grade changes.
Well, the House gives final approval to a sweeping tax overhaul after the measure passed the Senate earlier today. The legislation now heads to President Trump's desk for his signature. The plan drops the corporate tax rate down from 35% to 21% and doubles the standard deduction for individuals. Tax attorney Jerry Miller of Joseph Greenwald and Lake says the bill will have a major impact on area businesses.
You're going to see far fewer itemized tax returns. And that's because the personal exemption has gone up. It's going to be the standard deduction, I should say. It's going to be doubled to $24,000. In addition to lower tax rates, and in addition to that, several of the itemized deductions that people tend to take are being impacted by the new law. So that's on the personal side. On the corporate side, I think you're going to see fairly significant benefits to small and medium-sized business owners as a result of the lowering of the tax rate, the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%, and then from the changes made to what they call the pass-through or the flow-through entities, and the fact that they're going to be able to deduct 20% of their income, which flows to the individual owners. I think that's going to be a substantial benefit to small and medium-sized businesses.
And the tax reform bill is considered the most significant legislative victory for Republicans in 2017. Trump plans to thank GOP congressional, he did thank GOP congressional leaders during a celebration at the White House this afternoon. Well, with tax legislation heading to the president's desk, Maryland Governor Larry Hogan says the president's tax package could negatively impact some Marylanders. So he's planning to introduce legislation he says will put more money in taxpayers' pockets. Hogan made his statement.
Long-standing federal tax deductions and exemptions that are tied to Maryland taxes, that Maryland state revenue is likely to increase by hundreds of millions of dollars. So I'm announcing today that our administration will be submitting legislation at the very beginning of the session next month, which will protect Maryland taxpayers and which will mitigate any negative impact of these changes to state taxes.
And Hogan made his statement at a meeting of the Board of Public Works in Annapolis.
Meanwhile, Metro will get $125 million additional dollars if Maryland lawmakers have their way. According to the Washington Post, Democrats want to give the transit agency more money because it is underfunded. But some lawmakers in D.C. and Virginia don't want to be as generous as that. They want the agency to cut costs to balance the budget instead.